Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the Arnold Palmer Invitational. And yes, this is my Before the Lock show. First off and foremost, thanks for stopping by. Give me about 30 minutes. I'm going to give you everything you need to feel good about those DFS lineups and those final bets that you might want to put in. I've got some crazy parlays that I'm throwing together. We'll talk a little bit about that. Check out on Twitter. I'm putting a few of those out there for you. If you want to jump on, jump on. But there's a lot going on from the Puerto Rico Open. You've got the Magical Kenya Open on a DP World Tour. So you can get some crazy odds if you parlay some of those together. Just, have a little fun with it, throw $1 on it, and you'd be amazed if somehow it worked out. You could make a small fortune. Okay, as always, we're going to go over ownership projections. I'm going to give you my prize picks. You guys, I asked a question on my pick show yesterday if you stayed to the end, and some did respond and said that they want to see it. So, hey, I'll keep doing it. If you guys want it, that's not a problem. We're going to go over weather. Of course, the main part of this show is going over my top picks from the 7K below. And, of course, you see Mr. Cameron Champ on the cover, which nobody's talking about, but I'm going to talk about him. He might be in my top plays for the 7K and below. All right, with that said, let's talk some golf. All right, first, I want to talk about my giveaway. I always kind of forget this, but I am doing a giveaway for the players. And you ask, what is this giveaway? It is, I'm picking 5 random winners, and you're going to win $100, which, as I've stated, the player's Millie Maker is $25 entry. It gets you 4 of those. If you want to use it for that, of course, you can use it for whatever you want and turn that into $1 million, and we'd all be very happy. And all you need to do to get in this is very simple. Click that like button on the video. If you've not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. As mentioned, we've went over 1,000 subscribers, and we are growing the community, and I appreciate all of you that have been doing that, and this is my thank you back to you. So real quick, let's talk about that again. Click the like button, subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and all you need to do is tell me who do you think is going to win the players. Let's keep chucking through. And now into prize picks. And always, if you don't know what this is, if you are new to prize picks, it is projections for golf that we are focusing on. And you're simply picking the over-under. Of course, they've got multiple sports that you can pick from. But with this being a golf show, we are going to focus on the golf. And I'm still able to get you guys a free $100 if you put in $100. If you put 25 in, you're going to get 25. And all you need to do is put in promo code Golf Guru, and you're going to get your match. So I looked it over, did some analysis, and who I like for the prize picks. I'm going to go with birdies this week for the first round. And I went with the guys. I mean, we got 4 par 4s here that, hopefully they at least get 3 birdies out of the 4. That then allows them on some of the par 4s to make 1 more, and we're in the money. And I've got Sergio Garcia, who typically, amazing enough, does very good on the first round. Keegan Bradley, got to make a few putts, and we're good. Billy Horschel, same thing. He would ball strike amazingly. And a lot of these guys, side note, are all teeing off in the morning. Whenever I do prize picks, even from a showdown perspective, I do like to take the guys early. Now, from a win perspective, there's really no advantage at all. On Thursday, we're going to talk about weather. But you got fresh greens, and I feel like the conditions, typically you've got that dew. The greens are a little softer. They're not baked out in the afternoon. So this is also why the guys I'm going with, just so you know. And then Sam Burns, even though I know he's not been in the best of form, of course, looking for that to pick up. And typically Sam, even if you look at his miscuts over recently, it's not his first round, it's his second round. So again, I think Sam Burns can back on Bermuda, make us some birdies. And so I got him. So I need 3 of the guys to do 4 birdies. I need Sam to do 5, which I think is definitely doable. With that said, you've got some options, right? I mentioned on prize picks, they did make a nice little change, where you notice on my board I have not 1 under, where you used to have to always be forced to pick 1 guy under, which typically is what caused the issues. But what that did do is take the 10x if you're playing the power play to the right and move it down to 8x. But if you want to play a little safer, maybe you're putting more money in up front and you want to just try to double your money and hit 3 out of 4, then of course hit that flex play and you've got those options. So again, that's my prize picks for you guys. And all right, if you missed the preview or the pick show, I always talk about rating my stroke gain analysis. Where am I looking at? So how do you win the tournament? It's going to be, of course, ball strikers at 200 plus yards in. Approach is always needed on every course. Off the tee shows up a little more here. Got to make putts around the green, sand safe, scrambling. I already mentioned the proximity of the pin, almost 30% outside of 200. You got some long par 4s, 5 of them, 450 to 500. You got, of course, those 3 long par fives, but very doable for these guys. And you got one more par five that should be very gettable. You've got these long par threes, which hence what pointed me towards Billy Horschel, other things, but I like Billy Ho on these long par threes. So a lot of them are around exactly 200 to 200 plus. And then you got to make some birdies and eagles here. This is not PGA National. Guys will score. Again, as I mentioned, I'm looking at like 1,500 as a winning score. And then always I leverage probably more than a lot of the analysts out there. I really like using comp courses to kind of give me that final push. And it does show up. Guys typically do well on certain kind of tracks. And I kind of rated the top 6. Of course, you're going to use Bay Hill, but I like the concession at work. Even though it's only one event that we have there, I think it's probably the best from the Bermudas and the distance and a par 72 and the water is all very alike. Of course, it's also in Florida. You got Valero, you got Sanderson Farms, both par 72s over 7,400 yards. Then we go over to the right, you got all Bermuda here. You got some water, and it's a very tough course. You got Valspar, par 71 at Innisbrook. And then you got Wells Fargo, which is probably a little different. I mean, I think of that as more of like a comp to like a Torrey Pines or even the Genesis, like more of a tree line. But there is some water there. It is Bermuda. So I threw that in there. Then, of course, you got the Houston Open, which I prefer when they played the Country Club of Houston, which was a few years ago. But you can also use Memorial Park the last 2 years. And that's the courses. And then you can see using my custom model where these guys ranked out, Burns, Kokrak, Hovland, Casey. It all kind of looks correct to me. I like the guys that popped up there. And so that's the comp courses we're going with. All right. With that said, we're going to use this and we're going to go over into Fantasy National and talk about the guys that I like 7K and below for you. Okay, I popped over to fantasynational.com. And of course, I tell you guys always, or people that are new, if you are trying to do some of your analysis on your own, it's tough. I was there years ago. This tool definitely brings it all together and helps you, and I highly recommend it. All right, that's my plug for them. And moving on, of course, I'm going to be talking about from a pricing perspective, DraftKings, but of course, use these picks from Yahoo, FanDuel. You're just going to see a little difference in pricing. And what we're looking at here is what I call kind of a mini model. I have put no filters on, but what I am doing is I have went and used those courses that I discussed. So they'll be highlighted here. So you got like CC Jackson, Bay Hill. Looking at the last 24 rounds because I am specifically, and I like doing this now for the guys below, using the comp courses so I don't have to go through each one. It already tells me who does well on these type of tracks, kind of limits that. My mini model is weighted heavily on ball striking off the tee approach. Par fives, those long ones, we need to get some scoring there. And then that proximity 200 out is very key. You can also see we're looking at birdies gained here over the last 12 rounds. And then you got recent form, so the last 5 tournaments, and we got tournament history if they have any. All right, you can see I've got 20 guys identified. There's quite a few guys down here I actually like. So again, with the focus on a large tournament, these are the guys that if you can, load a little better on the guys above that should do well, get you that top 10 or even top 20. Here's the guys we need to get you to the weekend. And if possible, get up there in the leaderboard. That's the guys that win the large GPPs. Okay, right off the bat, I just brought these Sahith up. Of course, I've already picked him in my top 15, but if somehow you missed my pick show, I am high on Sahith, of course. And it's not a lot of the, what I've seen recently. What really got me interested in Sahith was that he almost had a good chance of winning. Of course, Bermuda is a positive for him. One of his favorite putting surfaces where he does the best so far that we know. But it was actually his showing up at Sanderson Farms way back in the fall. I think it's a great comparable course. That 200 proximity in is key. You got to drive the ball accurately, and it's fast Bermuda green. So there's a lot of, maybe not the water per se, but there's a lot of crossover that I like, and it's one of the courses, as you saw, that I'm weighted heavy. So that's what got me on Sahith. Not so much what he's doing from a modeling perspective, not what I saw at Waste Management. That all helps. That he's playing good golf, and he's had a little bit of a breather. If you saw, he had a presser, and played a lot of golf. Right, he had a lot of exemptions into tournaments, and he's got this one now, this Invitational. So, but it was nice to see he got a break, and he needed it, as he mentioned. Marty Laird, I got him up here. You can see ranks out well. I'm not really on Marty. I'm not picking him as one of my top 5s, but I bring the guys to your attention that I think are good plays down here. Of course, he's a past winner, I believe, 2011. Party Marty, and I think I stated he shot one round, a 75 here, and still won the tournament. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But you can see he's made 4 out of the last 5 cuts. Best shown was a T14 at the Waste Management, T22 at Mayakoba. And then if we look at his history, at least over the last 5 times he's played here, he's made 4 of the 5 cuts. So everything here says you should be fine if you play Party Marty. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. The guy that I like, it's kind of funny. You can see, get a little chalky. I always also, well, I don't say always, but I do tune in and listen to some of the other guys. I like to hear where they're coming from, just get their thoughts. So, at times I do it. I don't do it all the time. And I've heard quite a bit on Sebastian Munoz, which if you've been watching me and following me for a long time, I'm a huge Sebastian Munoz fan. You guys already know. I've already got the first round leader punched in. He's paid me off at least 3 times over doing that. The guy is super streaky, and he's a great ball striker. It can get wayward, right? There was a time where, let's go click on him. From a modeling perspective, you can see he's ranked 12th out of this whole field. He makes the birdies, and he's getting back to pretty good golf. I mean, I think that's what's kind of getting some guys talking a little more about him. I never don't talk about him, and pretty rare I don't ever pick him. It's sometimes to my detriment, but you can see here, Bermuda is his best surface, and he's not he's a putter that I like a lot. Puts it like a Koepka, that he's trying to make everything. He is not a lag putter. He's not a safe putter. So if you get to watch quite a bit of him, he's going to make you nervous, because if he has a 10-footer, he's putting it 4 feet by. But I like that. I like the guys that are not afraid to have that 4-footer back. So, but you can see, to his detriment, that could cause some issues. And you can see the putter, it's not been the ball striking, it's the putter that's been causing him some issues. But even with losing 4 strokes to the field, putting, or 2 strokes, or whatever it is, he's still having some nice finishes. His, last couple of finishes were in the fall, that he had that 4th and the 3rd at RSM. But of course, what got me on him again is Sanderson Farms and everything else I know about him. But where he actually might have been him, but okay, it was Charles Schwab, but that's actually bent. His second best putting was on Bermuda at Sanderson Farms. The Sony, he had a good showing. That's also Bermuda. The Wyndham is Bermuda. It's also got some POA mixed in here. The Valero, which I think is a good comp course, and there's Sanderson Farms again. Those are all Bermuda. So with that said, I am quite a fan of Mr. Munoz. And also with that, you can see, the comparable courses. I'm not going to go through all those as I usually do, because it's already been identified. As I mentioned, they're already in this model, and that's what's showing up here. We're pulling from those comparable courses. So I just want you to know that. And that's why some of these guys are identified that, from a recent form are not good, like an Aaron Wise. You can see, though, Aaron Wise, when he plays on a course like Bay Hill or at Bay Hill, you can see he does the things that we want, and he should fit out here well, especially under the narrative that I'm going with, that I talked to you guys about, that I think lightning fast greens helps a worse putter, or typically bad putter. And like I said, you can look at examples. If you look at Will Z, he's not a good putter. He's an okay putter, but like Hideki, who both won at or Hideki, who won at Augusta, the Masters last year, which was crazy, probably some of the fastest greens we see. You had Will Z come in second. You can go over this, if you start tracking super fast greens. I believe in this theory that they don't have to, and they're also from an undulation standpoint, these aren't, from what I remember, I don't think they're crazy slopey greens, but you just have to, you can worry about the line. And if you play the game of golf and you ever played on super fast greens, you're more concerned about the line and not as much about the speed. Now, of course, there's times if you're putting downhill and you got a 5-footer, that's a different conversation. But it does show true, like a Corey Connors at Valero. I do like the guys that are really good ball strikers, but typically struggle with the putter at times, have spike weeks. And so I see no reason why Aaron Wise, now I'm not picking him as a top 5, but will I be playing him? Yeah, I'm going to put him in some lineups, because just as easy, these guys are the best. They can turn around on a flip of a switch. That's why guys like Straka win, Hudson Swafford, a Jim Herman. I mean, I can just go on and on and on. A Cage Lee, a Sung Kang. They are still the elite. They're the PGAs. They're the best in the world. And I think at times, from a DFS kind of analyst perspective, we kind of forget that, and we so get focused on certain guys. And that's why when guys pop out of nowhere, you're like, wait a minute, what happened here? Moving on, get off my soapbox. Next guy I've got is Carlos Ortiz, who I am picking. And why, again, Ortiz came to my mind was he won the Houston Open. And I believe, I got to confirm this, but I think he won that at CC of Houston. Let's verify that. Nope, I think that's Memorial Park. So I take that back. But it's still a good comparable course. He's also shown up at Sanderson Farms. There's the Houston Open previously at CC of Houston. He came in fourth, and then another fourth at Sanderson Farms. So he is all, this course should fit him perfect. Now, like Carlos Ortiz, is typically the putter that caused some issues in the past, but he has been gaining strokes with the putter over his last 5 events. Let's go click on date. That'll bring that up for you. You can see last 3 events gain almost 3 strokes, almost 4 strokes, a stroke and a half. The ball striking was a little hit or miss. His last, performance that we can't see, but Mayakoba, which is, I'm pretty sure that's Bermuda. Could be Pass Palm. I always get these island courses, but I always said Pass Palm is the closest brother to or sister to the Bermuda family of grasses. So no issues there. But I'm a big fan also. Let's take a look. I'm going to just do a little deeper dive. You know what? I didn't pull up, and we could go look at it, but I'll just do it while I'm here. Arnold Palmer. So yeah, miscut his last time he played it. Didn't play it last year, but in 2020. But he's made 2 20s before that, 29th and a 21st. So I like Carlos Ortiz, especially for that price tag of 69. Low, right now it's stating kind of lower ownership. I put Nikolai Horgaard on here because I was picking him last week. He stunk it up, if I remember correctly. But you guys probably don't know a whole lot about Nikolai Horgaard. Of course, he plays majority. His first tournament on PGA Tour was at Honda. I told you guys I've got to watch this guy enough. I want to bet on him a few weeks ago. If you know anything about him, he is, kind of similar to a Max Homa, where either he's winning or top 5 or he's losing. And I went over this quite extensively on my Honda, I believe, preview show or the pick show, whatever it was. But he's a ball striker. And he's going to come down, and you can't really look at any of this data because it's very minimal of what we have on him because we're not pulling in the European DP World Tour stuff. But you have to take my honest opinion that I think he's a good play. I think he's a great play to come back here. He drives the ball amazingly. He's typically really good with the irons. It's his short game. So if you think of like Victor Hovland the first year he was on tour, or he fits this model that I'm going with. So he's not going to be my, top 5, but I want to bring him out to you guys again. Don't be shocked if he ends up top 25. It definitely could happen, but we'll see how it works out. We'll call the other one, first round winners. If you remember Mito Pereira, I think his first tournament on the PGA was Sanderson Farms. This is all off memory, and he missed the cut, and then away he went, and it was the same thing. I think you got to have that first tournament. But also it just fits Nikolai to a T that he would miss the cut and then go out in top 10. So keep an eye on him. Also a good bet. I think he's up in the 3 digits. So if you're looking for a guy to throw a couple bucks on, that, or even from a top 10 or a top 20, it's not a bad play there. Okay, moving along. Garrick Higo. I was on this guy early on. Of course, he had his wins on the European tour that got him over here at the Canary Islands. And then when he got over here, right, got in Palmetto, and I think it was his 3rd event on the PGA that he ended up winning. You can see he's in good recent form. He can get a little wayward with a driver, but he can also scramble pretty well. I got to watch a bit of him at Honda, and when he's on tee to green, he's amazing, but he's got a really good putter. I have a lot of confidence actually when he's putting. So if he puts the ball striking together as he typically can, and he can navigate around some water, then he should be good. Now, it doesn't show up here, but Palmetto, where he's actually had his win, is Bermuda, gained 4 strokes. And you could kind of say he backdoored into that win, or you could say Chesson Hadley actually gave it away. I don't know which way you want to look at it. Side note, while I'm thinking of it, Chesson Hadley is in Puerto Rico Open. Sorry, for some reason Barracuda came to my mind. He is in the PRO, and he's 100-1. So if you're looking for a parlay, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some parlays I got going on, because I think it's fun. I personally, whenever you can put literally a couple bucks or $5 on something and could win a lot of money, it just gives you some interest. And like I said, you also got that magical Kenya Open going on. So maybe there's some, they got Magic Kingdom for Orlando for the API, and you got that. But I'll tell you some crazy bets that I've got going on. If you want to jump on it or get you some other ideas, I'll make sure I do that before the end of the show for you. Back to Mr. Garrick Higo. Sorry, I went off a little bit of guard, but let's see here. We don't got the Bermuda, but he gained 3.6. We don't really know. I can't assume he gained with the putter there. The Waste Management, the Phoenix Open, of course, he gained a stroke and a half. Just trying to see where he's had some of his better. And like I said, it's not a long, as you see, career on the tour. Um, Let me see. I want to see if I'm correct. So yeah, Palmetto is actually, if you don't include the PGA, the Palmetto is literally his first event. So that's just crazy. That technically your first. That is right. I remember this now. His first PGA event, you win. So pretty crazy. But he's been playing some good golf, and for that price tag, I don't think I've heard other guys are on him, but he's less than 6% owned. So if you're down here, and my theory for this tournament, I don't think again you need to go too low. I think you got enough value in the middle area. It's all dependent on how you're going to build your teams. If you're going to try to stack like a Rory and a Hovland or a Rory and a Will Z, even like if you want to get really unique, I don't think there's a lot of people going to do a Rahm Rory. You're going to need to be down here maybe for two of these guys. So here's some guys to look at. Lee Hodges, just bringing him to your attention. He's never played here. He's made 3 out of the last 5. He's had a T3 and a T9. You can see, what when he has played some of these comparable courses, he rates out pretty well. 6,600. Again, if you're a newer to DraftKings, Lee Hodges, you're gonna be like, who the heck is that? It's, he's a Corn Ferry grad, but he's been doing well. I'll go click on him just to give you a little more. Hits about 300, pretty accurate off the tee, at least what information we have. And you can see if the putter fires, but you can see the last 3 events, the putter has been firing, but before that he was kind of missing. So if you look at the Amex, he actually lost a stroke, a little over a stroke of the putter, but really did well, striking the ball, had a third there. So, out of his last 5 events, he's had 2 top 10s. That's pretty good. So enough to could point you in that direction. He's not my top play, but he's definitely going to be in some of my lineups. Cam Davis. So, if you can look past some of the recent form now, it's not terrible, but I think a lot of people are soured on Cam Davis. I think he missed that cut at Waste Management. But don't forget, a good showing at the Century, a T10 out of 38 guys. That's pretty good. That's the best of the, some of the best of the best. An amazing ball striker, and it's the putts. That's what it comes down with Cam. He was actually going to be my top 5, and the guy that you saw on my cover screen squeaked him out because I've got that spidey, tingly sense again. You guys know I get these. Sometimes they pay off, sometimes they do not pay off. And actually, Cam Champ is knocked him out of there. So just so you know, Cam Davis was my 5th guy in, and I still am going to play him quite a bit, and I highly recommend him, especially for this course. Like I said, even though he's only played here once and missed a cut, but everything tells me he should do well here. If we go look at, sorry, it's taking a little bit. Okay, we look at Cam Davis. You can see, funny enough, he's done well on Bent. That's where he has his only win, right, on tour. That was at the Detroit Country Club, at the Rocket Mortgage. But you can see he's been gaining over his last 5 rounds with the putter. I mean, he's actually gained neutral, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's interesting because that's typically his Achilles heel. The irons and actually his ball striking let him down at the Genesis. Did everything pretty well at the Tournament of Champions at the Century. And let's just go do this just real fast. So you can see Sanderson Farms. I think it's a great comparable. Came up. 3M Open is kind of interesting. If you think about Matthew Wolff, I like that as a GPP tournament play. A lot of water at the 3M Open, right? It was a comparable for the Honda for me. You got to be able to steer it around there and know what you're doing. Trying to see anything else. There's Sanderson Farms pops up again. Now you got to remember the Sanderson Farms field I know is not as comparable. But it's a decent, I don't know how you rate it, but it's definitely not got the top, 10 players in the world. So you can make that argument, but I like Cam Davis. And if he can do what he does at Sanderson Farms, again, I'm high on that. Aaron Rye, if you did not compare him against the comparable courses, if you just looked at like the last 12 rounds, he models out amazingly. And also I was looking at him to go in over his last few events. He's actually done very well at this proximity. So don't let this fool you. I think Aaron Rye is a good play. Actually, probably a better than average play down here. You can see, I think he's just going to be a little chalky for me. He's had, these top 60s. He had that T6 at the Farmers, which I think that's where he got a lot of air coverage. Probably got a lot of people excited. I think he's a good play. But, like I said, I had a couple other guys that I'm a little high on down here that I'm going to put in instead. Of course, you guys know my Brokeback pick, always Patty Kazire. Been playing some decent golf, right? Made 4 out of the last 5 cuts. Has got that T10 at the waste management. He made the cut last year, but missed the cut 2 previous years. You know, he's problem is off the tee, which could get you some big numbers here. So I think he's a decent play. I'm not going to put him in my top 5, and I'm not going to push you guys to play him. I just brought him to your attention. A lot of it is this what he does from 200 out. I think that's pretty key. If you have one thing that you want to stand out is the long game, the long irons, because you're going to have that quite a bit here. So I don't think he's a terrible, and he's typically a pretty good putter. So Patty Kazarian could do wrong. Actually, I've kind of fallen on Patrick Rogers. And this doesn't even do justice. If you modeled out without just against my comparable courses, it'd even be better. He's had the Honda and the Farmers, but if you look at his history here, and I think a lot of it's his approach game, he's had a nice, made 4 out of the last 5. He's played here 5 years in a row. It's had that T7. So it's a bit of course history. And I told you guys from my preview show, that is it just shows up over and over and over. There's also the narrative, which I knew this, talked about it my last year's show, that the Europeans or the international guys won like the last 5 years in a row. And that's technically true. You got some weather things. So I'm not going with that. I don't, a lot of these guys live in the US, play a ton of golf in the US. So, can you correlate if the weather was going to be bad? Yeah, we could correlate Aussies and Europeans that we'd want to put in here. But, you'll see the weather looks pretty good, except it is going to blow a little bit, I believe, on Saturday, Sunday, but we'll get into all that. Anyways, Patrick Rogers, let's just click on him real quick so you can see a little more. He's got the distance. Accuracy can be an issue. Pretty good putter, Bermuda is not his best, but he does make putts. You can see the ball striking has been pretty good. The putters where he's been let down. And then before that, funny enough, he was actually putting in the ball striking. So welcome to the life of a PGA golfer, just trying to put it all together. If you want to see where some of his best finishes from a comparable, you got the Wells Fargo. Farmers, you can make a stretch. There's API. Okay, if we go into Patrick Rogers, do a little more information. His driving distance is there. Accuracy is a little suspicious. I like it at least 60% or up, but I still like him. Pretty good putter. As you see, Bermuda is not his best, but over the last 12 months, he is positive on all surfaces. And you can kind of see, funny enough, if we go, the putter's what's been causing issues lately. The ball striking has been good. And then when the putter's going, the ball striking hasn't been exactly there. So if he puts the two together, he could have a really nice little week. Of course, we look at some comparables. Probably the best one would be the Wells Fargo, where that's a while ago, but he had a second. Arnold Palmer in 2018. The Farmers from just a difficulty, the Genesis. So he plays difficult courses, and then he's got this 14th at the Sanderson Farm. I like the Genesis. So what I'm getting to is he can handle some difficult courses, and if he puts it all together. So I like Patrick Rogers. That's who I'm on. Down here also, you're getting a nice little differentiation, contrarian play. Now we're going to move through these guys a little bit quicker until we get to Cameron Champ. JJ Spawn, he's just been playing good golf. He's found something. This isn't going to do a lot of justice because it's pulling up older data. If you did this under just the last 3 tournaments, it's going to be better. But he's steady. I don't think he's going to do any better than like a top 40, but he's going to get you to the weekend. So if you're looking for a really, I'd say a condom play, a safe play, I like JJ Spawn down here. If you want a little more upside, Taylor Pendrith, what does he do very well? He drives the ball elite. He's almost kind of like a poor man's Cameron Young. Not as good with the irons, but he's a great putter. And he's also really good off the tee. And you can see on these comparable courses, on the what data we do have, he does very well on that 200 out. So that made me interested. So if you're putting together maybe like a Bombers kind of set of guys, he could be in that lineup. I think he'd do no harm. So Cameron Champ. Now I'm going to state right off the bat, I might have a little bit of bias towards Cameron Champ because I have won some nice money on him. Of course, the last one would have been the 3M Open where nobody is on him, and this is what he does. And so I started to think about it a little more. And when does Cameron Champ spike up and have it, have that really good week or win? It's right about now. And so it's when you've totally written him off and you look at this recent form and you puke a little bit in your mouth, right? I mean, whatever, didn't make the cut, T46 cut. That might even be a disqualified is what that could stand for, DNS. He's never made the cut here. But whenever you start to dive a little deeper, let's talk about Cameron Champ. So what does he do very well? Of course, he's an elite driver of the ball. Out of this field, top 10. When you are comparing on these comparable courses, he does make his birdies on par fives. He also hits the 200 plus very well. Not too far off. I don't want to say he's Bryson DeChambeau, but he's not too far off from kind of some comparison there. Typically, it's around the green, can cause issues, and of course, the putter. Now, what I know about Cameron Champ that you might have forgot is that his first actual win came at Sanderson Farms, my favorite comparable course. Also, the most recent one we know was at the 3M Open. If you kind of notice, except for 2020, what does he do? He gets one win per year. He's done it over 3 out of the last 4 years. The 3M I like from, hey, he had to navigate around a lot of water. Probably the most comparable to the Honda is the 3 Open for how many holes come into water, which is 15. You can also see where he's had his best putting outings ever. His best putting outing ever was on Bermuda at Sanderson Farms. Now, yes, he ball strike, awesome. I mean, he gained 17 strokes total, which I would love to see who came in second there. But almost, gained 9 strokes of the putter. So he can have a ridiculous, just holy cow, I found the putter. Now, the last time when he won at 3M Open, I saw that he gained with the putter and had that 11th at the John Deere. So that shot me a little bit on him. It was the first thing he did. If we go look at this, so you can see it. So here you go, right? Miscut, 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 miscut. Even at the Rocket Mortgage was that shocking. And then he had this 11th at John Deere, and I saw, whoa, somebody gained 3 strokes to the putter. And then he goes out to 3M Open and wasn't even the best off the tee. Typically, that's where he does his damage. He gained again almost 9 strokes. Now, those are bent greens, but he just all of a sudden has that crazy putting, and that's when he's going to win. I mean, so you can see here, been losing except for Pebble Beach. He lost, with the putter, and I didn't have that one little spike week, but, I think as soon as you have, you're not going to get the odds. So you can bet him if you don't want to play him down here in DFS, but I'm talking about from a GPP play. This is the guy that could, keyword is could, be the key differentiator. He's 1% owned, best case. And when it all comes under, I'd be shocked if he was 1% owned. So you can bet him 250 to 1. I did that. It's not a bad idea. But I'm going to sprinkle in some Cam Champ. I'm going to let you know right now. He's one of my top 5 plays. And you heard it here first. Nobody's talking about Cameron Champ. So let's see how we do there. All right. I think that's the last guys that I'm going to get into detail, but we're going to go over these other guys for you real quick. Alex Smalley, I like him for probably more of a showdown play. He can have that spike one round, but he's someone that's interested in 6,400. A lot of newer players are not going to play Alex Smalley. They're not going to know who he is. He is a Korn Ferry graduate who's been playing some good golf. So I like him. I'm highlighting him here for you. Matt Wallace has been not in good form, but this is where he kind of picked his game up. You remember last year, and then showed up in the Texas swing, almost won the Valero, kind of fell apart on Sunday. He was in the final group, if I remember correctly. But you can see, he had a T6 here. He's got some good tournament history, made the cut 3 times. You can see ownership down here is a little more because of that, even though recent form is nothing to write home about. These are the most 2 recent, miscut. Let me go click on, so what you're looking at there was a really nice modeling perspective from comparable courses. That's why I'm talking about them for you guys. But if we go look at what's been going on over the last 3 tournaments, it's just nothing good. So I want to bring that to your attention. I don't want to, but if you actually, funny enough, click on where he's done his best, there's that Valero 3rd place, tied for his best finish ever. And he was, like I said, in some good recent form. You can see the putter kind of let him down, but approach, he was gaining almost, 9 strokes. That's crazy. There's Wells Fargo. There's Arnold Palmer. So it's no shocker, Arnold Palmer, that when I used those comparable courses, that he popped up there. So you got to make the decision on that. Ownership when he, is if it's going to be like 5%, I will probably skip altogether on Matty Wallace. Doug Gim, he's always going to be cheap. He's always going to be a great ball striker. And as we all know, it's the putter. So that's it. You got to make that decision. And if you're going with my narrative that I want really good ball strikers that could have a good putting week, he fits that mold perfectly. Last couple for you, Danny Lee, somebody you could think about. He's had a decent history here. You can see he raced out on comparable courses pretty well. What I know about Danny Lee, he actually, shocking enough, can have like that one really good round too. Is putting it all together. But you can see ball striking pretty elite on these comparable courses. I think he's not a terrible play down here at 63 if you're getting down this low. Trey Mullinax, what does he do? Like a Taylor Pendrith, very elite off the tee. Has been playing some decent golf, right? So, made the last, I don't know, 3 out of 5 cuts, couple 30ths, and has never played here before, but you can see on the comparable courses, rates out very well and less than 1% owned. Again, if you're putting that bomber kind of crew together, he could be the guy. And then Brendan Steele is just in brutal recent form, as you see. But if you go on course history, which I said is very important, even over recent form, typically it shows up. He's made 4 out of the last 5. He's at 6,100. And then if you look at what he does, so I don't know what is going on with this guy, but what he does from a modeling perspective at comparable courses should be a great fit. Let's go click on Mr. Brennan Steele real quick. So you can see he's got some pop in the bat. Accuracy's, I don't know, decent. It's the putter that typically, but you can see it's been a rough road to go. Off the tee, he's been gaining. Approach has been on off. It's just been the putter has been disastrous since the Sony. Let's go see where he's had his best finishes. So the Fortinet, Safeway, I don't know. I would not put it as a comparable, but Valero, that's a long time ago, is comparable. So maybe it pulled that. There's the Honda, which, that wasn't too long ago. I mean, it was a year ago, but there's the Honda again. So I think I'm sure I had to pick him. Probably was in my top 15 and of course missed the cut. The players, Wells Fargo, Valero, it's some older stuff. Let's do this a different way. Let's see. What was the last time he actually made a cut? It was in the fall. So his best showing was at the Zozo. That was in the fall. There's that Sanderson Farms that comes up. So, yeah, I don't know enough. I mean, I didn't hear anything if he's injured or what he's playing through. I mean, he could just be in a funk. If somehow that the course history stuff goes over recent form in it, at any given time, a guy could show up at a course that he likes, could do very well. So, anyways, that's the guys down there, and I'll summarize it for you guys who I like as my top 5 when we jump back over. Let's go talk about ownership projections. Okay, so give you a little precursor. Of course, also, if you're not used to this, the ownership projections, this is the information we're getting. This is the number I'm always most curious about. And that's a good number. 10,000 people have actually generated lineups with these picks. Hence, this is why we're using these numbers over here. When it actually all happens, I say typically it's about 1 or 2% either way, up or above, when it unfolds and you see it in Draftkings as ownership actual. So this is just giving you a good idea where people are at. Right off the bat, number 1, no shocker, Rory, Will Z, and Rahm are your top 3 chalkiest guys. And then this is kind of interesting to me. Fitzpatrick, for me personally, I'm fading Fitzpatrick. Of course, he had that little stomach bug issue. It withdrew from, what was that at the time, the Genesis, I believe. I'm not on him. I like Paul Casey, but if he's 18% owned, I mean, I get the price tag. He's everything you want, and of course, he was my top 15. I'll probably put less shares. I will play Paul Casey, but this is all, again, talking about from a GPP perspective. I want to always state that from a large tournament, you have to have some uniqueness. Scotty Scheffler is up there. I wasn't really on him anyways. Just, like I said, I kind of had some other thoughts. Will I have a lineup or two with Scotty? For sure. Do I think he can do great here? For sure. I like Cameron Young, and no shocker, other people are on him. So this is the guy that, if you want to think about fading, so from a large tournament perspective, because he could easily miss the cut here, everything is just showing us. And even Will Z, I always state this. The one thing I've noticed is when everybody, and I'm talking about everybody, I'm talking about the media, the guys like me, the analyst, when everybody says this guy should win, that's literally when I've noticed so many times that they missed the cut. Hence Sanjay M at the Honda. I could go through this over and over and over. So I still like Will Z. This, I think it's a great place for him to get his first win, but I'm also stating to you guys, you could, if you're making some unique lineups, you can just fade this top area, start your builds down like around 9K, and get a little unique there. But yeah, a lot of the guys. So what I did is I highlighted the guys that I picked, and there's quite a bit of chalk. I'll let you guys know that right now. So everybody is also seeing the things that I'm seeing. Scrolling down now, we get into at least 15% or less. Sanjay M, I'm off him, but yeah, he burned me. Good course history, but I can't believe 9,900 for Sunjay M. I don't know. Maybe that'll be my detriment, but I am fading him. Just so you guys know, Seabez, I'm not on him. Luke List, I didn't pick him, but I think I don't know. Now that the ownership is this high, Luke List could easily could miss a cut. I know he's been in great recent form. It should fit him. So we got to make decisions there. You can see Victor Hovland. That's kind of interesting. I'd rather start my builds at Victor Hovland and skip, for sure Rory and Rom. Um, you can do a Will Z, Victor Hovland kind of start. I think is probably where some are in my builds are. Chris Kirk, that's interesting too that he's that highly owned. I think a lot of this is coming from the data and not really thinking like Chris Kirk could easily miss a cut at any time. Same with Max Homa. So of course I picked Max and Chris Kirk, but when you start to see the ownership projections, for me, I will make some adjustments or at least put some lineups together that don't include them because I told you guys before, Max Homa is a great bet to either win or miss the cut. Like literally, he easily, and this ain't the West Coast. This isn't POA, but everything tells us that he should do well here. Tom Hoagie, no thank you, but Sebastian Munoz, I'm on. Keegan Bradley, that again, a perfect guy that could easily miss the cut. But for that price tag and what he could do here, I do like Billy Ho. I'm shocked Corey Connors is almost 10% owned, to be honest. I like Burns at less than 10%. Now, this is the guy, Adam Svensson, like Henrik Stenson, could easily miss a cut. So I will definitely be fading that. I like the Gooch. I'm going to play him. Russ Henley, if he's that low owned, I'll play him. Same with Seamus Power. Justin Rose is a guy that could do very well here. So I like this Garcia Rose area. I already talked about Sergio Garcia. I don't think he was one of my top picks, but definitely will pivot to him. A winner of Sanderson Farms, this course should fit him very well. Of course, it all comes down to the putter. Shocked that Gary Woodland's not getting more love, but I think some of these smart people can see through that. I need to see more from Gary before I roster him. I like Higo. I like Ortiz. I've already picked, but now we're getting into guys that are down like less than 6% owned. Troy Merritt, funny enough, I did hear, I had my show out before Pat Mayo, so I was already on Mr. Merritt before he jumped on that bag. I'm not saying that you can't see the same things, but I agree 100% that Troy Merritt is a good play here. Shocked that Lucas Glover getting no love. So I might sprinkle him in. Great ball striker. I think people are maybe a little freaked out that he did not do so hot with the putter last. Matty Wallace, people are using not recent form, but going to look at the history, the super history. Jason Day, by the way, has withdrawn. You'll see that course. I don't know why I didn't even look. I guess it's the back. Or hey, last time he was here, he skipped the tournament and took his girls to Disney World. So maybe he got a call in for Disney World. Also, this happened, I believe it was last year, that Louis Oosthuizen, who I don't think is in the field, but I'm just bringing it up, that literally he withdrew like 10 seconds before his tee time. And I just stated that he pulled the Jason Day and went to Disney World. I actually don't know. I'm sure the back was bothering him. Thomas Peters, not too many people are jumping back on that train, but could be a nice contrarian play. Aaron Wise down here low. I think is still a good fit. This is really interesting how Seb Straka is getting no love. And I honestly believe if he did not win last week, that he would have a higher percent of ownership this week because he actually should fit this track very well. I know. I think we're just all going on a narrative of, hey, first time winner, life changing money. He's not gonna be able to recover from that. There's my Patrick Rogers way down there. I like Cam Davis. We already stated. Siwoo Kim, man, no love for the Kim. So that could be an interesting play. Yes, I think everybody's waiting to play him at the Pete Dye courses and wait for the players. Maybe he'll be super sneaky, but let's hypothetically say Siwoo Kim goes out in top 20s. Then ownership is going to be ridiculous on him, I think, from that lower ownership for the players. So I think I might get some Siwoo Kim now that I see this. Just seeing anybody else sticks out. There's my Cameron Champ, which funny enough, he's not highlighted. He should be less than 5%, less than 0.5% owned. My Blackbeard, man, I'm going to have to sprinkle him a little because this wouldn't shock me that he could come out, and not that he's going to win. not by any stretch. I don't even think he could top 20. But could he get you for 6,200? Get you to the weekend for sure. Adam Long, if you guys remember, I was on him early on this year. Whenever you go to those island courses, he's actually a decent ball striker. He doesn't hit the ball very far, but is could be very good tee to green. So wouldn't kill you. There's my Nikolai Horgard. I am going to have him in some lineups. Brandon Grace has fallen out of grace. No love. Snedeker. I've always said if you're going to play Mr. Keegan Bradley, why not Brant Snedeker? Now, Brandon, of course, is not as good off the tee, but they're both pretty similar ball strikers, I feel like. Snedeker is probably a better putter, got that pop putting stroke, but shocked that he's that low. I mean, he had some decent form. You know what? I got to click on him now. Let's go take a gander here. What is going on? 3 missed cuts recently, but he had this like little nice fall, and then he got on the West Coast, fell apart, and then no good at the Phoenix. Let me see something here because I didn't do a ton of diving in. Just want to see where he has some of his best finishes. I mean, these are all a long time ago. He's played it a lot. Well, that's interesting. So he's played it like what, 12 times, and has only missed a cut 3 times. He may has an 8th, a 13th. I'm trying to do this a little better way. So yeah, I mean, shoot, after his last 7 times here, he's only missed a cut once. Huh. Kind of shocked that he is less. He's 0.2% owned. So there's another play you could look at. I didn't do that deep. I kind of skipped over him. John Pock. It's amazing. He was the most touted coming out of college, right? I think he came out, if I remember this now, the same time, of course, that Hovland and Wolf and Morikawa, and he was supposed to be in that gang. He was in all the talent in the world, but is not at all. Let me take a look here from Mr. Johnny Pock. Has not translated over to the PGA Tour. Wow. Yeah, he's not made a cut. The U.S. Open, he had a 51st. Not telling you to play this guy at all. Someone did ask about Jonathan Bird down here in the YouTube comments. Let's go take a look at Mr. Bird. I said Bird is the word. He had that make cut there. I actually point him to Norlander. If you're going to play min pricing at 6K, I would probably rather go with Norlander just from a upside possibility. Yeah, I mean, probably not going to play any Bird. So I don't recommend it. I don't even recommend Norlander. Of course, I didn't even pick him or talk about him. But for a 500 to 1 bet, he is my super long shot. Let's go talk weather and then get you guys out of here. All right, real quick. Of course, use Windfinder, especially if you're playing Showdown. If you're trying to build that AM, PM kind of teams, here is your weather. And you want to pull Orlando as the closest location. That would be, I think, McCarran, MCO. Thursday, as mentioned, funny enough, is stating that a little more wind possible in the morning. But what I noticed, and again, I was just from Orlando, they get these little like pop-up gusts. They just happen out of nowhere. Of course, you're in more middle land. You're not, East Coast or West Coast of Florida. You're kind of centrally located, but nothing here at all to talk about. I like guys typically earlier in the morning, especially for Showdown. Where you're going to want to pay attention, a little bit. Friday afternoon is supposed to peak up a little bit. And then Saturday, as I mentioned, you're going to, it could have gust up to almost 20 miles an hour. It's something to keep an eye on. Just point that out. And then even on Sunday, funny enough, is saying, in the morning, 7 to 21, that's quite a discrepancy. Again, this is a ways out, but we could have some wind on the weekend. So keep an eye on that. That's all I wanted to point out from a weather perspective. All right, I'm going to jump back over and let's get this wrapped up for you guys. Okay, so to wrap up or summarize my best plays below 7K, again, I want to say this is with a focus on a large GPP tournament, the $20 entry to win 250K or whatever it is this weekend. I haven't even checked. I do have lineups in, but I assume it's somewhere around there. Number 1, Sebastian Munoz. I think he's going to be chalky. So, do what you want with that, but everything tells us this is a great place for him. He gets that hot putter. I have him already, as I mentioned. Always bet him. If you're a better of first-round leaders, I think he's a great first-round leader bet. So, you make the decisions from there. Carlos Ortiz is ranked out very well for this type of course. The putter has been working well, so I like Carlos Ortiz again. I think some other folks are on him, but again, if you're looking for that kind of more safe play, and also could score pretty well. Garrett Cagle, I put him right in that box. I like him for showdown. All these guys for showdown are not bad plays, by the way. But yeah, when you're down here, of course, Garrett Cago's win at the Palmetto, first PGA victory. Bermuda, some similarities there. I didn't use it as a comparable course, but there is some similarities from a crossover. And I like he's a good putter. Honestly, I think Garrett Cago out of these guys are probably the better putter than these other two. But I've seen Carlos Ortiz and also Munoz just go in Fuego with the putter. And then Patrick Rogers, probably a little more different than, I don't think anybody's talking about Patrick Rogers. So these next two plays are kind of my differentiation areas. But I like what I've seen out of Patrick Rogers, especially with that 200 in, and does comp out pretty well from a comparable course side. And we talked quite a bit about Cameron Champ, right? I mean, he pops up, gets his one win a year almost. Won Sanderson Farms, his first tournament. He won the 3M Open, where the water was definitely, a factor, right? Next to the Honda, it's the number one course for holes coming to water play, showing really no significant life. But that is when Cameron Champ. So 250 to 1, might want to put a bet on him. And also, if you're looking to differentiate down here in the lower spot, you plug in a Cameron Champ, he is going to be definitely less than 1% ohm. So that's the guy that I will use at times if I'm down there. But these are the 5 guys that I like the best from 7K and below. And because I told you guys I am doing one and done now on my pick show, but I want to throw it in here real quick, just in case for whatever reason you tuned in and said, hey, I'm doing one and done on before the lock. Here's the guys that I'm looking at. No shocker. I'm not going to spend Rory here. I will hold him for Quail or for a major. Victor Hovland, if you had not spent him yet, I think it's a great place to play him. Will Z, everybody thinks in the world that he's going to win. Maybe every tournament that Will Z plays in, unless he goes off a cliff again. We're going to be waiting for that. Of course, the narrative of, hey, all these first-time winners, it's time for Will Z. Hideki, man, the guy's been in Fuego. Had that crazy putting showing on Bermuda at the Sony, but the putter's been better, and there's really not too many better ball strikers out there. It has pretty decent course history here. And then you got the guys that, course history, or this should fit them. So Sam Burns, someone that I like to pair up with Gooch. I think they have very similar skill sets. Even though, like I said, I'll never believe that Gooch, his first win was RSM. It just made no sense to me. It just totally threw me for a Lulu. But Sam Burns, we'll see. Either he's broken, he's had 3 missed cuts, but everything tells us that this is where he should pop up. But even last year, right, he did great on the West Coast. He came over to the Florida swing. We were all ready for him. And, his odds went down, and everybody was talking, waiting for him, and he had some miscuts, did not do what we thought. And then people forgot about him. And not I brought him up, and I think he was 80 to 1 FL Spar 60 to 1. I'm not sure right off the top of it, but and I hit him. Of course, that's why he's on my opening kind of intro, is a lot of my long shots that I've called. And then Leishman, great course history, been playing pretty good golf. So if you need to get a little different, if you are way down in your one and done area, I would guess these guys will be definitely less played than these guys up here. And that's it. That's the show. Thank you guys so much, as always, for tuning in. And I wish us all the success at the API this year. Do me the honor of clicking that like button, subscribe again, because you need to get into that players giveaway. If you're not a subscriber, I got to have you do that. And tell me who you're going to think is going to win the players. That's going to get you into the drawing next week. And hey, if you're not following me on Twitter, there's no better time, because there's going to be maybe some withdrawals that you might not be on, and I am all over it. And anything else that you guys should know, I'll tweet it out for you guys. Oh, and I did say, I almost forgot, if you stuck around to hear my crazy parlay picks, let's talk about those real quick. Okay, so to talk about some of the crazy parlay picks that I've got going on, if you are interested whatsoever, of course, we've got 3 different tournaments going on, right? You got the Puerto Rico Open, and I did do analysis on that. I know sometimes guys ask, the field is bad. And if you recognize a guy and you like a guy, bet him, play him. If you want to do anything on DFS, that's, there's not enough information on that track through Fantasy National. And I just don't have the time when I'm focusing so heavily on the API. But with all that said, I've got a parlay that is going to pay out over around $2.4 million. I'm going to say it again. I got a parlay that could pay $2.4 million with a $5 wager. And here it is if you are interested. Chase Seifert, who's playing over in Puerto Rico, is 45 to 1. So I took him. I took Wilsey at 25 to 1 at the Arnold Palmer. And then this actually came, I'm not going to take credit whatsoever for this. This came from the guys that follow the DP World Tour. I believe it's Sky over there. He's got this guy named Robson Chinoy who is 400 to 1. I think he even had crazier odds, but now that it was brought up on Pat Mayo, his odds have fallen to 400 to 1. But if you start putting this guy in, so he had a bunch of successes on this course at the Magical Kenya Open. So this is no analysis by me. I am jumping on somebody else's kind of thing because I do not follow the DP World Tour enough. So you put that all together, you get like 47,000 to 1 odds. Now, to pick even one winner, as we all know, is hard. To pick 3 winners is ridiculous. It's pretty much like winning the Mega Millions. So when I give you guys these, if you're going to play it, throw a buck on it, have fun with it. But I'm just telling you guys some crazy parlays that I got going on that I'm having fun with. All right, the next one, kind of the same thing. I got Rory. I got that Robson Chinoy, who's 400 to 1, again, on the DP World Tour. And then I took Mateus Schwab to win the Puerto Rico Open. He was 21. That pays out, if you put a buck on it, I think let me think here, it was 9,200 to 1. So I put $5 on it. It would pay almost $500,000. Another par 3 real quick, kind of or a parlay 3-pick. Same thing I was talking about, but I threw in Rafa Cabrera Barrow, right? He won over on the DP World Tour. He's one of the better ball strikers out there. He has not played on the PGA in a while. And when he was on the PGA, he was struggling. He was RBC, we'd always call him. He was the guy we were always waiting for to have that breakthrough putting outing. It never happened. But anyways, he's 28 to 1 at the Puerto Rico. I got Will Z 25 to 1, and then that Robinson Chinoy. You put that all together, and I threw $10 on this because that's how much I felt like for sure this is going to happen. And it pays $3 million if it hits. So again, you can throw a buck on it and you get 300K. But if you, like I said, if you want some fun, just to have some interest, or of course, if you're watching European Tour in the morning, before the PGA comes on, and I'll tweet some of these out for you guys. If you're like sitting here trying to write this down, you're like, hey dude, could you have shown this? I'm just doing this real quick. I will tweet. I already did tweet a couple of these out. I tweeted this one out yesterday. Matt Avery, who was shunned, and it was a back-to-back winner here. I believe it was like 2014-15. So he's the only one other than Tiger Woods who won back-to-back at the Arnold Palmer. Of course, his game's been not good. But he's 250 to win the Puerto Rico Open. So I just kind of was like, it'd be just kind of poetic, right? That he didn't get his invite to play here, even though he's back-to-back winner. And usually he did, right? I think they did it for many years, and they finally said, okay, Matt Avery, sorry, your game is trash. But he's 250 to 1 to win the PRO. I paired that with Will Z. I tweeted this out yesterday. That gives you 650 odds. So you put $5 on that, that's 32K. I like Chesson Hadley, Will Z. Chesson to win the PRO. Of course, you can see a lot of these. I'm just tying to Will Z. That gives you 250 almost odds. I threw $20 on that because I was really feeling that one. That's 52K. Chesson Hadley, why not? If you want to outright bet Chesson Hadley to win the PRO, 100 to 1, I think he's a pretty solid. If you start to look at that field, it's pretty rough. I got Rory McIlroy, Victor Perez parlayed. That will get you 450 to 1 odds. So throw a buck on that, or $10, you're at $4,500. That RCB with Will Z, I got that parlay. That's 750 to 1 odds. I believe that's correct. Maybe it's, what is that, 75 to 1 odds, I guess. You put those two guys together. I take that back. So I put $10 on it, pay 7,500. Victor Hovland with RCB. Oh, here's one I tweeted out yesterday. This was a fun one. Richie Wawrinski. Now, I'm purely playing him because I was kind of on him for a sneaker, that super long shot at the Honda, but he is in the field at the PRO. He's 150 to 1, so if you want to bet him just outright. But if you put that with Will Z, you're going to get almost 400 to 1 odds, and I threw $10 on that to win 40K. Why not? I think that's it. I think that's enough. I think I gave you guys enough goofy parlays, but that's all it is. It's just having fun. And if you want to have a little action on the other ones, it just gives you some ideas. I'll tweet a couple of those other crazy ones out for you if you're just curious to jump on and throw a buck or something. Okay, with that said, thanks, guys. All the best of luck to us. I am curious to see how this is all going to unfold, and I look forward to talking to you guys Monday, where we'll be talking about the players. And again, getting that giveaway, tell me who's going to win the players. Click that like button, subscribe, and I will talk to you guys next week.